otherwise you get a video with no audio. Nobody's going to watch anyways, or they're just going to mute. I can put subtitles on, watch Netflix at the same time. Anyways, the imaginary unit. Imaginary unit is the letter I. Remember what I is worth?
-1.
No? I is the square root of -1. I don't know how you're going to feel about this content. I don't care how you feel about it, but do you like electricity?
Well, electricity.
You should. Because you can't have electricity without imaginary numbers, believe it or not.
Why?
You'll learn that if you decide to become an actual electrical engineer.
Can you dumb it down for me?
No.
Okay.
I cannot.
Is it that hard, or you just don't want to do it?
I don't have that kind of time, and plus, no, I don't have the time to do it. I mean, I have to teach you about voltage and amperage and all that good fun stuff. You just don't have the skill subset, do you? What it boils down to.
Because voltage is an imaginary number.
No.
Voltage makes things go boom.
No.
Makes your body go boom. That's
So anyways, I'm recording. You guys have this filled out right here, don't you? Complex number.
Yes.
Any number in the form A plus BI, where A is real, BI is imaginary. I think it says bolded and italicized and capital maybe bold letters or whatever, that all numbers are complex. Because all numbers can have 0i added to them. If you add 0i to it, are you actually changing it? No, but you're putting it in that form. All numbers are complex. Now, somebody's going to wake up around May of this year and try to start trying. And they're going to do something stupid like go to a calculator and ask the calculator what the root of -4 is. What do you think the calculator's going to tell you besides the error that you see there? Not real. Why is it not real? Because it's imaginary. Because it involves the square root of a negative. Even the calculator knows it's imaginary. It just can't do anything with it. They never programmed that algorithm into it. This little fact right here lets you rewrite the root of -4 as the root of -1 times the root of 4. Maybe you remember that property from the other day. Maybe you don't. Now that you see the root of -1 there by itself, you know that's the letter I. And what's the root of 4? So we have I times 2. Nobody writes I2. Nobody writes I2. It's 2I. Generally speaking, you put the number before the letter. I don't know why that would change now. And you'll never see me break a radical apart in that fashion. Because if I see the square root of a negative, what do I automatically know?
It's something I.
It's something else. So if I get that, it's got to be imaginary. So even if you don't know nothing, you should be able to realize that this is the I roots of 32. Is the imaginary root of 32. Solved the negative, said it was imaginary, got rid of the negative sign. Then I get to go back and work with all the stuff I know how to do. If you're doing IXL, would you accept this answer? No. Why not?
Yes.
You got to simplify. Factor's 32.
I'm 16 and 2.
16 and 2 is the best pair. Not the only pair, but the best pair. What's root of 16?
44.
Where do you think we put that for?
Front of the I.
In front. Wouldn't make sense to put it in the middle. Or I root. Actually, it does make sense. It just doesn't look good. It's more pleasing to the eye. Be right there. Or I root. Can you choose that so far? Example C. What's one thing you can tell me? Real or imaginary? Imaginary. You can at least say that. This is the very least you can do, but you can say that. It's the imaginary root of 3/49. Carly, how do you simplify that? I called you Carly. Marley. I had a Carly 3 years ago. That's when it came from.
I squared root of 3 over 7.
Yes, ma'am. I squared root of 3 over 7. I was close. I had most of it right, minus the first letter. No, I'm tired. And 1,200 kids, and they get mixed up with all. I mean, your parents only have what, 2 or 3 kids? My dad had 3 kids. I was Bruce, Brian, Benji. Every time he needed something, gotta list off the other 2 first. Every time. Still gets it wrong. Still gets it wrong to this day. Of course, now he's 82 years old. I can forgive him now. Working with the powers of I, and you are supposed to memorize these. Start off with I. What is I? Well, if you never watched the video, I showed in the video where the rest of these come from. If I was to square this piece, I need to erase that from there. I would have to turn around and square the root of a -1. Wouldn't I? You square the left, you better square the right. What do you get when you square the square root of -1? That's where it came from. An easy way to form I cubed is to take an I and multiply it by I squared. Remember algebra 1, you learned the rule about adding exponents? So I squared is worth what?
1.
-1. This is I times a -1. What is I times a -1? Negative I. What's an easy way to make I to the 4th? I squared, I squared. That's where she's getting it. What's that going to return? 1. I'll probably give you a form sheet tomorrow. Non-honors go to 50, honors to 60. Some of y'all are in good shape already. Some of y'all got a lot to learn. A lot to learn. All right, I to the 7th is too easy.
All right.
Let's do I to the 527th power. Still not hard. No, you don't.
To divide that by 4? That takes just as long.
It doesn't take that long. I can do it in my head. This is just for y'all. You divide the exponent by what? 4. How many times 4 and 5? 1. 1 times 4 is 4. What do you do? Subtract. That gives you a 1. What do you have to bring down?
2.
2. How many times 4 and 12? 3. That's 12. You subtract. You get nothing. So you bring down to 7. How many times 4 are 7? Once. What's the remainder? That's what I focus on. You did that lesson by Excel. When the exponents got big, you divide by 4, you get only the remainder. So it turns out that I to the 527th power is equivalent to I cubed, which is equivalent to -I, right there. Final answer, -I. You did it before, didn't you? Most kids did that lesson. Nobody really complained about that one. Other one, division one. I to the 12th plus I cubed. If you think it's I to the 15th, homeschool time. Just kidding. It's not I to the 15th, by the way. You don't add those exponents together.
You don't separate and then add them.
You do them separate and add them. You got to figure out what they are first. What's I cubed?
-I.
Okay, that one's easy. Right? How many times does, I don't know why I wrote the square root symbol. How many times is 412?
3.
3, but what matters is the remainder.
No.
0. I to the 12th is I to the nothing. No. What's smiley face to the 0 power? 1. That's why I wrote it like that on the formula quiz. Smiley face to the 0. What is it? 1. What that literally means is that anything to the 0th power is 1. It's 1 minus I. Next one looks small, doesn't it? It's horrible, atrocious. There's those kids laughing. You know, you all are hearing kids laughing. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I didn't know if I was in a horror movie or
it's still very
something.
scary.
Every day.
I don't
A lot of horror movies, they always have little kids laughing off the side. Okay, just making sure. 3i cubed, what's the I cubed worth? Negative I. That's easy. 3 times negative I is negative 3i. This is where it gets fun. 3 times 4 under 7. That is negative 4i to the negative 7th power. 3 times 4 under 7. 1, so the remainder of? May as well do that reduction. That's negative 4i to the negative 3rd power. Throw away the 4's, kids. That's all you do. Throw away 4's. Doesn't matter if the exponent's positive or negative. Throw away the 4's. In Algebra 1, you actually learn this rule. You learn the rule x to the negative n. It's not just on my formulas. It's from Algebra 1. 1 over what? 1 over x to the n. So how do you rewrite I over negative 3rd power? Negative 4 over I cubed. There's actually a shortcut for this. I'll show you when we got all this work. Maybe remember.
I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Pennywise, but I don't know.
I think there's a shortcut. Yeah, there is a shortcut to it. What do you know about I cubed? Negative I. What's a negative over a negative?
Positive.
4 over I. Think back to that I excel I5 deal. How did you clear out the division of an I?
Times it by the denominator.
Conjugate. You multiply it by the conjugate of the denominator. That's the trick, son. Negative I. That's 4 times a negative I. What's a positive I times a negative I?
Negative I squared.
What's a negative I squared?
Positive 1.
Positive 1, because I squared is a negative 1, so negative 1 is positive 1.
That's a whole lot of words.
Yeah, it was. A whole lot of work, too. It's not for nothing.
See? The answer.
Put it right there. And one more step and you're done.
You have to subtract it.
I'm going to figure out what negative 3i
Negative
minus
7
4 is. There's a shortcut you can use on some of these. This is one of them.
That did not.
What's it okay to multiply a number by and not change its value?
1.
1. What's out of the 4th? What's out of the 4th? You actually could have made this one a lot easier. You could have said negative 4i to the negative 3rd times I to the 4th, because I to the 4th is 1, right?
Right.
You just went up with negative 4i when you have the exponents. But that's a special example. Can you do that every time?
No.
No, you can't. But you'd have to see that before you, I mean, that would take a while to realize you'd get away with that. All right, solve the equation. 3x squared minus 7 is negative 31. You should actually know how to do these. First thing you're going to do on that first one. What's the option of subtraction?
Addition.
Add 7. I don't care how you want to do it. Do it the way we do it. Add 7 to negative 31. What do you get?
23.
Negative 24.
Negative 24. What's the next step?
Divide by 3.
Divide by 3. Thank you. You're playing an isolation game. I'll give you that x squared is negative 8. Nathan, what's the opposite of squaring?
Square root.
Square root. Take the square root of the left to isolate x. Take the square root of the left to take the square root of the right for equality. Is that real or imaginary? You like pandas?
Yeah, I guess.
Plus or minus symbol.
You're gross.
I would much rather scratch the panda's belly than yours. So, well, okay. That's good. I can't recall to shoot my hand off.
My stomach.
Remember the panda, the evil panda belly? Who here the panda?
Me,
Wait.
probably eat.
Wait.
Um,
You said something like if you. Oh yeah. Always remember plus and negative. It's always. If you forget it, the panda dies.
IXL is gonna reject that, and so would I.
You have to simplify.
What's root 8 simplify to be?
4 times 2.
Root 8 is 4 times 2.
And then it is 2i square root 2.
4 times 2 simplifies 2 root 2. And yes, you put the number before the I, because it's more pleasing to the eye to look like that. All right, we'll do example B, and then you guys have you try. 5 times x minus 2 all squared plus 5 is negative 45. You know, besides the usual kids who talk a lot, want to tell us what to do?
You
Yeah.
subtract
Time.
5 from 45. Negative
Yes.
45.
You cannot distribute that 5 in because that square is there. That changes everything. Subtract 5, however.
Negative 50.
You'll notice I teach a technique called do the easy stuff first. Don't I? That's my technique, do the easy stuff first. Now we have 5 times the quantity x minus 2 squared equal to negative 50. What's the next step? Divide by 5. That's the opposite of multiplication.
Negative 10.
No,
You stuck here?
Negative square.
no, not after that. I meant the next one. You have to square root it.
Square root, don't you? The opposite of squaring and square root. Don't say same thing.
Same thing.
Not the same thing. What does a square root symbol do to something that is squared?
Takes it away.
Takes it away. Annihilate each other. It frees up x minus 2. What do you guys know about the root of a negative 10?
It's just,
Is it real or imaginary?
I mean, it's
Imaginary.
But isn't
So
it just
I
square root
squared.
10?
Yeah.
Go back to the very beginning. There was a square there. How many answers?
What?
2. You have to include the plus or minus symbol. Right there is where you insert it, because that's where it becomes possible. What has to be added to both sides?
2.
2.
I square root of 12.
No,
Plus or minus I square root of 10.
it's 2 plus or minus I root 10. 2 is not in a radical. You cannot add it to the square root of 10. It doesn't make sense. You think that 2 plus the root of 10 is the root of 12? Well, just use calculators. When you guys have questions about numbers and how you think they work, you think that 2 plus root 10 is the root of 12. 2 plus root 10 is going to be a ugly decimal. That's 2 plus root 10. Root of 12 is going to be something a little over 3. They're just not the same. You can't put those things together. You understand that, John?
I have no idea what was wrong with that computer.
Well, you got 2 plus the imaginary root of 10 is one answer. What's the other one?
2 minus no.
It's 2 minus.
2 minus imaginary root.
So when you were doing the IXL lessons, they talked about the naming of that pair, what they're called. Everybody knows what that's called? Conjugates. Those are complex conjugates. These are complex conjugates. The only thing that differs is the sign between them. Kind of a big idea, believe it or not. All right, you guys do the U-try. And hopefully I can get through the multiplication before you guys get out of here. Correct. answer's gonna be 4 plus or minus I root 6. Most of you guys have already done these tries. Some of you are still waiting to pick up the pencil. Try 33 first, if you're not sure what to do. Looks good so far, Brian.
What'd you say the answer would be?
Should have 4 plus or minus I root 6.
Okay. At least I got some.
Multiplication division.
We don't have to talk.
238.
I'm listening to any questions, so what I can. I don't know if I can use it. What, I think I have one. No, you got it over there. My shoulder. You only live once. Yeah, this will actually.
Move on from that point in time. I need to make sure I get at least something talked about. Skip over the next slide, your notes, jump to that one. I want to make sure I do B before the bell rings. Because you guys know your basics quiz have a foiling section, right? That's what it gets replaced with. Measure your numbers.
When?
Next time you take a basics quiz.
Oh my.
It's not that hard. Big deal is that you know what I squared is. Show you the big deal. Because everybody ought to know how to FOIL. What's 6 times 2? 12. 6 times 9. Yes?
Yes.
Guess what? 54i.
Oh.
Negative 3i times 2. Negative 3i times positive 9i.
Negative 27 squared.
27i squared. Now, again, what do we know about I squared?
Negative 10. I never negative 1.
Equals negative 1.
So, that I squared becomes a negative 1. And what is negative 27 times negative 1?
Positive 27.
It's positive 27. What happens when you see an I squared is you get rid of it, and what happens to the sign on the number? It changes. That's all there is to it. When you see I squared, you get rid of it, you change the sign on the number. It's done. Well, what's 12 plus 27? 39. How about 54 minus 6i? No.
48i.
48i. 48i. Because the bell hasn't done, we'll do A real quick.
Yeah.
A is a distributive property. What's 5i times 5?
45i.
25i. That's right.
Negative 30 times.
By the way, negative 30i squared is what?
Negative.
Positive 30.
What? Oh, you said times.
30 minus 25.
Yeah. No, they're
Nope.
plus 25.
Plus 25.
Don't be tempted to write 25I plus 30. If you did the IXL stuff, you know it's gonna get rejected. The form is A plus BI. 30 plus 25. Oh, enjoy your day. Sounds like you need a different job.